Some days I wish we could go back to carburetors and no computers.
All right, 99 Chevy 3500 7.4 Vortec. This is a port injected 454. This thing came to me kind of misfiring and stumbling, so the owner brought me some injectors to put in it. I did that. It runs worse now. It's almost undrivable, which I think is a result of those $50 Chinese injectors. So I bench tested the old ones, did a flow test, pulse test, put them in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm gonna stick them back in here and see if they run better. I've already stuck a new distributor in the back of here. The old one was worn out. Apparently these Vortecs like to eat those distributors, the ring gears that, you know, down there by that oil pump drive. So let's take this thing apart real quick. It's basically a flathead screwdriver to take this assembly, the hosing off. We've got a 13mm nut on the top. If you have to hold that stud still, it's a 5.5mm, and then this will come out of the way. 14mm bolts on the AC compressor. It's got 4 bolts. First we're going to get this belt off of here. It's just a 3/8 drive, ratchet drive on the tensioner. Loosen that up, get it out of the way. Then we can get the AC compressor off and just bring it out of the way while we're getting to all the fasteners for the intake. There's 8 bolts total, 13mm, 2 on each corner essentially. Then it's just a matter of kind of getting stuff out of the way to lift the plenum off. And what we just did was pull that assembly out of the way, and then you just twist the throttle body linkage like this to loosen these cables, throttle cable, transmission, kick down, whatever. This one just slides off. It's just going to slide forwards off of this peg, and this one just like a bicycle cable. Twist this up, pull the little barrel out of its socket and release the cable. Then you need a pair of pliers here to squeeze those tabs together so it'll push through the bracket, and those cables can get out of the way. And to this point, we got the upper radiator hose off, AC compressor swung out of the way. We got things disconnected here. This is going to come off with the plenum. We just need to get the EGR tube off of there. This has come off a couple of times, so it's going to be pretty easy for me to break free. If you have a problem with it, just give it some heat, put a propane torch or something right here. Just be careful of, you know, you got plastic here with your wiring, so keep that out of the way of your flame. But just give it some penetrating lubricant for some time and then heat it up, and this brass coupler in the middle will break free. This should spin freely while that brass comes out of the aluminum. Alright, this little guy is to come off. Just has a push button tab. So you see the bottom here, that gray band pushes up to release. Okay, so let me break this free, kind of swing it out of the way. It's a little bit flexible. We'll swing that out of the way. Then the coil is on the back side. There are two 13mm bolt and a nut. And it's got a couple of plugs on the coil back here. So I want to unplug that and let that swing out of the way. And once that and this is out of the way, then we can get to these 13mm bolts on the plenum. Now we've got the coil off, out of the way. You can see the distributor back there now. All the wires are kind of loose enough to get around this. So now we're at the point we can take these Plenum bolts out. Once all 8 of those are out, we'll just have to kind of tilt it, pick it up, make sure stuff is out of the way, pick it up, make sure stuff is out of the way, and it'll come right off. Notice I didn't use the ratchet on this second bolt. That's because this nipple is in the way, and instead of breaking this seal and having to make a new gasket or reseal that at risk breaking the plastic, we'll just leave that on there, end up loosening it by hand. It still traps the bolt in there, so I can't pull the bolt all the way out, but it's fine, it's already free of the lower intake. So now we'll just do the passenger side. Now you do have to remove one of these plug wire boots off of the distributor, the one that's closest to the manifold, to be able to drop your socket down on top of that corner bolt. And now the manifold is free, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the car. Alright, now the manifold is out of the way. I did unplug that cam sensor harness right here. So to get these injectors out, I'm going to use a flat edge screwdriver. First we're going to unplug them, so you just push that little spring clip in and pull that plug up. And they're going to have a, you see that blue O-ring seal? Those may stick to the fuel injector, they may stay in the wiring harness. So if you're missing one and you can't find it, look down in the intake. It may be handy to have a scope in case you do lose something down there. You can wiggle the camera down in there and see where it might be. But we're going to unplug all this stuff. The little wiring clips come right off of there that hold the wires to the fuel rail. Really, I need 2 hands for this. But anyways, so from there, we've got a couple of zip ties on these broken injector clips. We'll cut those zip ties to get those off. And then these guys, you are at risk of breaking, this is a plastic rail, you're at risk of breaking that mounting tab off. So you'll just stick your flat edge screwdriver on the back side on the top and just wiggle it left and right as you're kind of wiggling and pulling up on the base or the bottom of the injector clip, and then they'll come right off, hopefully saving that tab so you don't have to use a bunch of zip ties. Okay, I'm going to slow this down for a sec so you can see. I've got this, I'm putting my flat edge down there. I'm grabbing, just pinching the base, wiggle left, right, and that spring just kind of walks right off of that injector. At this point we've got all of those clips off there. Now there's just 2 8mm bolts holding down the rail, one toward the front, one toward the back on the driver's side. So we'll extract those 8mm bolts, and then the rail has a bracket in the very back. So this is the part that's a pain, because that bracket actually is tucked under the distributor, and it's just easier to pull the distributor out. Of course, what that means is you'll want to, either when you start this, get your engine at top dead center, so you'll line your harmonic balancer up on the timing mark up front on the compression stroke for cylinder 1, and that rotor should be pointing to cylinder 1, or you can just do it by hand and spin the engine by hand and poke your finger in the spark plug hole until you feel a poof of air come out, and then stop approximately right there. And that's number 1 top dead center, because the distributor needs to go back in exactly how it came out. Or just take a picture and mark it, and it doesn't matter. Alright, so now the injector rail itself on top of the intake is free, with the exception of the bracket and back. It's got 2 little bolts holding down the tail, the backside, and that's going to prevent it from lifting up off of all of these injectors. I think you could probably get away with not putting that lower bolt back in the bracket and just use one of those bolts. So if you have to take the rail off and on, you won't have to mess with the distributor, or just, you know, get some Harbor Freight tools and bend and shape one to make a custom tool for that. There may already be such a thing, I don't know, but you can, before you pull this thing off, if you want to release your fuel pressure. If you don't have leaky injectors, there will be pressure in the fuel rail, even if it's been sitting for a couple of days. It may only be 10 psi, but it'll be enough to kind of make a mess on top of the engine. So here is that little bleed valve, is a little Schrader valve, kind of like what's on your tire. You can just depress the middle of that and stuff a rag down right here, and that will capture all the gasoline to relieve any pressure that's in the rail. So now the gas has been kind of released. There's a stud here on the front, so it's got this nut on there. So the stud goes down first, captures the front of the fuel rail to the lower intake, and then this bracket goes on top of that nut, and you'll spin this nut down on it to tighten up the bracket. And that bracket is there as a hold down for the cam sensor that's tucked in the top of the lower intake. So at this point, this is loose enough. Let's see how many of these little guys we can get out. Now, these are new injectors and new O-rings, so they're in there pretty stiff. I may actually have to use like an injector fork to pluck these things out of here, but I don't want to lose these O-rings. Since they're relatively new, I'm going to use them on the old injectors that I've verified are working when I stick them back in here. The good news is I was able to remove all of those injectors without undoing the bracket on the back, just kind of manipulating the rail. And I just used that flat blade screwdriver just to kind of gently pry on this metallic base of the injector. You could use a trim removal tool as well, but they came out just fine. So now we're just going to put these O-rings on the old injectors and stick those back in here. Once we get everything reassembled, we'll do a pressure test, just key on. It should be about 55 psi, and then running should be, 50 psi, and then turn the key off. It should not bleed down more than 1 psi per minute or something like that. You want it to hold pressure for several minutes. If it bleeds down relatively quickly, then you know one of those injectors is leaking. And we got everything put back together, just basically reverse order of what we just did. I would note, when you're putting the injector rail back onto the lower manifold with the injectors in the rail, it is going to help if you seat the injectors in that central rail first and then drop them into the ports as you're trying to seat the whole rail down. It's just going to help you ensure that all 8 are seated, rather than sticking them in the ports and trying to mate the rail to the ports. It's going to be easier the other way around. So I'm just going to turn a key on, and we're going to see what kind of rail pressure we have. Okay, it should be somewhere around 50. I would note, it works a lot better when the battery is hooked up. It's good practice to disconnect the battery whenever you're messing with this stuff. Anytime you're unclipping a wiring harness. Okay. Let's try that again. Yes, we've got 55, 56, just key on. Now let's see if she'll start up. Should maintain about 50 while it's running. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my gauge off of the fuel rail, and then we're going to check the timing. I'm going to put my scan tool on it and see what the cam sensor is reading. Okay, so while we're waiting for this tool to install some updates, it's going to take a few minutes, so we're just going to keep an eye on this to make sure that there's no bleed down from the injectors. So with the key off, this should maintain pressure for some time. If this were to go down to 40 psi, even 45, especially 30-20, by the time this thing is done in 10 minutes or so, then we know that one of those injectors is leaking fuel into the port, and they should not be leaking like that. So then you'd have to diagnose individual injectors to see which one is leaking. So a few more minutes, we're going to start the engine, let it warm up, and then go just over 1,000 RPM and watch the cam sensor reading. It should be 0 degrees plus or minus 2. So the engine's warmed up. I've got a few values here to read out. I'm just going to idle this thing up around 1,000. We're watching this top line, the cam position value. That's going to be about 1,000 RPM right there. And we're at 0.25, 0.4, something like that. And we want it between -2 and +2, so that's a good value. Now we're just going to take it for a test drive.
See y'all next time.